Hello, welcome to Don's Trust Election 2024 Meet the Candidates. My name is Graham Stacey, and in this session we are meeting Ivor Hiller. Hello, Ivor. If we could kick off, please could you tell us a bit about yourself and why we should vote for you in about 2 minutes? Please.
Okay, well, first of all, I think everybody knows I'm a passionate Wimbledon supporter. Have been for many, many years, well over 50 years now. And the most important thing to me still is the football. I love going to matches. I went to Barrow yesterday and nothing will keep me from going to football matches. I think that's a really important thing to say up front. I've got a lot of experience of working at AFC Wimbledon, for AFC Wimbledon. It's been my life's passion. A lot of people know that for the last 22 years. I spent 21 years as the commercial director. I voted for myself and Eric and Nigel Higgs to come off the Don's Trust board when there was a vote to stop people being on the football club board and the Don's Trust board. And now I think it's time for me to come back onto the Don's Trust board because I think my experience, my knowledge can be used in many great ways to help this club. The biggest thing that I want to do is represent the fans. I'm not sure that the fans' voice have been loud enough all around the club. That's both with the Don's Trust board and the PLC. And I want to make sure that fans are being heard, are being listened to and reacted to. That's really key for me.
Thank you. Okay. Well, now we have 5 questions that we're asking to all of the candidates, and you have 2 minutes to answer each, please. Question number 1. What would be your strategy to plug the club's annual £1 to £2 million annual losses? I think we were told that the net losses were 1.5 million for 2023, for example.
Well, first of all, again, I've got an awful lot of experience in most areas of that at the club. The responsibility for events and so on was never mine. I would have done things very differently. There's no doubt about that. But I think that mostly it's down to the employees of the club and the people that we appoint to make that happen. And what we need to do is oversee it and make sure that every effort is being made for those gaps to be plugged. We can't actually do it ourselves as Don's Trust board members. We have to make sure that everyone is putting their pedal to the metal and make sure that we can plug those gaps that way. I also think that the club occasionally misses some opportunities. I want to make sure, again, in an oversight way of making sure that those opportunities are not missed and they are alerted. I've done that many times since leaving my post. I've told James Woodruff and Danny beforehand there are things that we could be doing and should be doing, and I'm very, very happy to collude and bring in people. My connections, my black book is massive, and I'm still always trying to bring in people for the club and bring money in. So I think that mine will be as a support role and to help reinvigorate some of the things that I think we've missed. We are Wimbledon Fund, Don's Draw, our low-hanging fruit. They're low-hanging fruit. We've got 4,000 or 5,000 brand new fans that don't really do anything other than come to matches. Let's get them in and smash it to pieces.
Cool, thank you. Right, question number 2. If you could change one thing about the Don's Trust, what would it be and why?
All right, that's a great question. So I think that yes, easy one for me really. As I've already said, to me the Don's Trust board is one thing, and in the setup that we're at now, it needs to be purely oversight. It doesn't need anything else. The club is well covered for all of the various working groups. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be involved in those working groups. I'm saying that we shouldn't be responsible for those working groups. The club is where they sit. There are full-time professionals that work with the EFL on so many different things that I believe if there's one thing I could change, I would put it purely to oversight, but good oversight, strong oversight.
Great, thank you. So can you tell us a bit about your stance on fan ownership and how do we thrive as a club under the current fan ownership model?
Okay, well, the current fan ownership model is under threat. We know that. Um, but my views on it are that I once owned 50% of AFC Wimbledon. Yeah, when we first started the club, I owned 50% of it. I sold my 50% for £1, along with Chris Stewart selling his share for £1. So to me, fan ownership is absolutely sacred. Some others have actually accused me of not being in favour of fan ownership, which is just weird. What I've always been in favour of is if there are options and other things out there, we should always listen to people, be polite to them, and we should tell our members about it. That's always been the thing, and I think that got lost in translation somewhere along the line. But to me, it's imperative. It is our unique selling point. I think I know that more than anybody. I've been out there trying to sell the club for 21 years, and the first thing I ever did, we always did, was sell it on our community and the things that we do, and the way our USP being that we are owned by the many, not the few. So that still goes for me. Regardless of how the 50+1 vote goes, it is really important to me that we at least maintain fan ownership.
Great, thank you. Okay, question number 4. How would you describe the trust's standing amongst members nowadays, and how would you seek to improve that relationship?
Okay, well, I think that there's a lot of people that don't even realise they're members of the Dons Trust. They now become club members. And I've actually had that quoted at me by a member of staff that differentiated between a trust member and a club member, which is something that I didn't like. I'll be honest, I don't like that. So I think we need to do a good period of education for people in as many ways as we can, to let them know that they are part and can be part of the democratic process, without being press ganged into things, thinking that this is the first vote people have ever done. They're all of a sudden they're voting for 50+1 for us to sell a lot of the equity down. The whole thing to me was rushed. We shouldn't have done it as quickly as we did. There should have been a discussion. And then people would have understood the pitfalls of doing what we're doing. So I think we need to try and engage with everyone. It needs to be fairly softly, because there's clearly a lot of people out there that just want to go and watch football.
Yeah,
to coin a phrase.
Thank you. Okay, question number 5. Do you believe the trust board is elected to make decisions for the members, or elected to listen to members on an ongoing basis? And would you be looking to consult members more or less?
Well, one thing I've always done is consult people. I've always been a very, very open book on that one. So, I make myself available. I'm at every single game. I talk to people. I respond to people. You'll do very well to hear from anyone that I've not responded to for anything. So, yes, I'm absolutely open to talk to anybody, anytime, about any aspect of the club. I engaged for hours and hours and hours about someone that complained about a burger. I am absolutely very open to that, and it's something that I think we should do more, and we should do it, probably a bit better than we've been doing it, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. Right, we're also asking each candidate one question directly related to your individual manifesto. We've got 3 minutes for you to answer this one. So in your manifesto, you say the trust should focus purely on being an oversight board. It must hold our PLC board accountable for the way the club is being run and decisions being made. So what I'd like to ask you is, could you give us an example of how you would hold the PLC to account, and how that might be shared with members when you do it?
Okay, well, I think I've already answered a bit of that question, but the most important thing for a football club, in my opinion, is the budget, and particularly the playing budget. There is no doubt in my mind that the quickest way to ruination of any football club is to spend too much money on players. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't, be a little bit adventurous every now and again, but the budget needs to be examined properly. We need to be absolutely sure what's there and what's not there, and if we're not happy with it, then we need to push back. The same thing applies to ticket prices. In my experience, we once tried to put the kids' tickets prices up too much once. That was the really only time that the Dons Trust board pushed back on us when we had the football club board. But when you looked at it, yeah, we were wrong, and therefore we went with it, and that was a good thing, and that was the kind of democracy in action, and that's the sort of thing that I think should happen again. And I think there are other areas. You know, I've got concerns about all sorts of things. You know, I went to the doctors the other day and I met a nurse who was looking after me, knew I was from Wimbledon. She told me she's never coming to Plough Lane again because her gin and tonic cost her just under a tenner. And I think that these are opinions we should be listening to and reacting to, as opposed to just going, oh well, it doesn't matter just because she can't afford it. Others can. I think that we have lost business as a consequence, and we should be absolutely diving into those aspects and saying, look, we need to make this stadium for all and make sure that people can afford to come here, as well as milk it for every penny we can with our hospitality and all the rest of it. For those that have got the money, we have to work that really, really hard. So that's just one area that I think that we can certainly work with the PLC to try and make things right for people. I also think that Dons Trust members, whether they are club members or just ordinary Dons Trust members, need to be recognised within the club and all be treated exactly the same. There cannot be members and Dons Trust members that are treated differently, which I think there's a little bit of that going to go on, and we need to try and find a way to stop that.
Ready? Right.
Is that okay?
That's everything. Thank you for your time, Ivor. All the best with your campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers can watch all the candidate interviews on our YouTube channel. To vote, members should have a link in their inboxes. The deadline to vote is December the 3rd, and you can find all the candidate manifestos at thedonstrust.org. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Thank you.